Steve Witkoff. Zelensky said it was important to strengthen all levers in the arsenal of the US, Europe and the G7 to ensure a ceasefire takes effect immediately. He said that Ukraine sees the political will and appreciates the efforts of its partners, including America and everyone who is helping. We're once again joined by Professor Popovsky. What do you think of Zelensky's statement there? He's seemingly very much in desperation to have a ceasefire called. This obviously draws contrast with Vladimir Putin, who gives vague statements, says he wants a ceasefire, but actions prove otherwise, as we'll talk about later. What are your thoughts on the current position of the Ukrainian president and the way his government and delegations are going around negotiating peace here?
Yes, the position of Ukraine is always consistent. It is solid. They have repeatedly accepted a ceasefire, any ceasefire, even 30 days ceasefire on any ground, air, land, sea. And Ukraine continues its constructive approach, increasingly encouraging such negotiations, telling United States also to put pressure on Russia, otherwise we see no progress if Russia is not under pressure. I wonder whether Zelensky may do something quite interesting hours before the deadline expires on Friday to announce himself on the Ukrainian side to stop fire. In fact, somehow to say, yes, we agree with Donald Trump's deadline, and we are happy at 12 o'clock US time to cease fire, kind of even unilaterally, and to invite Vladimir Putin to do the same. And if Putin doesn't do the same, obviously, Zelensky complies once again with the demand of the US administration for a ceasefire, but if Russia doesn't, then sanctions should follow.
Yes, indeed. We now have some information about what's going on the ground. Russian strikes have killed 2 people and wounded 10 others, including 4 children in Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia region. Governor Ivan Fedorov has said today. Zaporizhzhia region governor Ivan Fedorov said that Russian forces carried out 567 attacks across 16 settlements in the region over a 24-hour period into Wednesday morning. He also added that at least 9 buildings were damaged early in strikes on the city district. Fedorov also said that emergency services continue to respond on the ground, but Russia has not yet commented on these strikes. While, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, Russian forces have hit Ukraine's gas transportation system supplying military facilities. We're once again joined by Professor Popovsky. We have some updates there about what's going on in the ground. A Russian strike that's killed 2 and also further strikes on energy infrastructure. What are your thoughts about what's going on the ground currently, especially with these peace talks supposedly going on?
Yes, people don't do such things. If you have Witkoff in Moscow, if you have a deadline, if you need to negotiate the ceasefire, you don't continue killing mostly civilian objects. That's what Russia does all the time. They really don't care. They can kill civilians as much. I have the feeling this is what the good news for Putin every morning is. When he wakes up and there is a report that some other civilians are killed in Ukraine, that's what makes his day cheerful and happy. So once again, it's not a negotiation party. Kremlin apparently does one thing, killing civilians, but talking another thing, that they would like to cooperate and they would like to achieve peace in Ukraine. And the two are absolutely opposites. They don't match at all. Again and again, Russia continues to demonstrate its unwillingness to agree on a ceasefire, but also, interestingly, those information are quite minimal. Those advances are not military advances. Russia did nothing significant on the military front in the battlefield. we see reports only of hitting civilian objects and killing few people here, few people there. That's not a war in the classical sense. For the last 12 months, for the last year, Russia advances are calculated at 5,000 square kilometers. But if we think of a front line, which is 1,000 kilometers, that makes only 5 kilometers annually advances. That's absolutely minimal, insignificant. So all the talks about some major Russian military advances on the battlefield are wrong. Russia does not achieve anything in Donetsk and anywhere else over the last 12 months, losing its soldiers, by the way, on a daily basis. So militarily, Russia is losing the war, which means at some point they have to realize that, and that's probably the road to peace if Russia recognizes it has nothing in the last 12 months significant military achievement.
Professor Popovsky, obviously journalists and press aren't allowed onto the front line in eastern Ukraine. How much do we know, just briefly, about what's going on there? You gave us a brief mention of it there, but how much more do we know about what's going on that front line in the east of Ukraine?
Again, as I said, nothing more. If we look even in the Russian reports, they are saying many times they captured Chasiv Yar. At least 20 times they were reporting that they finally captured Chasiv Yar. And that village is still in Ukrainian hands. Later, we find the truth when we see the reports by serious war institutes and satellite images that Russia is not advancing much. They are talking about Pokrovsk for many, many months. And Pokrovsk, the major hub in eastern Donetsk, is still in the hands of Ukrainians. So I don't really trust what Russian military correspondents say. They are trying to please Putin. They are trying to say to Putin there are advances. But if we look over time, as I said, 12 months, the advances are very minimal.
Yes.
It's really the territory of Delhi to